Fear is not the enemy of freedom, but its gatekeeper, standing at the threshold of every meaningful transformation, asking not that you be fearless, but that you be brave enough to proceed despite its presence. And that is the thought for today. Welcome to 7 Good Minutes. I'm Clyde Lee Dennis. Thanks for joining me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. In today's episode of 7 Good Minutes, we talk about turning fear into freedom. Simple steps to embrace life's changes. Enjoy. There's a moment that comes to all of us when life presents us with change we didn't ask for, didn't plan for, and certainly don't feel ready for. Your heart races, your mind floods with what ifs, and every fiber of your being wants to retreat to the safety of what you know. That fear you feel isn't a sign of weakness. It's your nervous system trying to protect you from the unknown. But what if I told you that this very fear, when understood and worked with rather than against, could become the doorway to a freedom you've never experienced before? By the end of this episode, you'll understand why fear and change are so intimately connected, and you'll have practical steps to transform that fear from a prison that holds you back into a compass that guides you toward the life you're meant to live. Let's start by understanding what's really happening when fear shows up in the face of change. Your brain is wired for survival, and for thousands of years, the unknown often meant danger. When change appears on your horizon, your ancient survival system kicks in, flooding your body with stress hormones and urging you to fight, flee, or freeze. This response served our ancestors well when facing physical threats, but in our modern world, it often keeps us trapped in situations that no longer serve us. The first step in turning fear into freedom is recognizing that fear is information, not instruction. When you feel afraid of change, your fear is telling you that something significant is happening, that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, that growth is possible. But fear doesn't get to make the final decision about what you do next. You do. Here's a powerful reframe that can change everything. Instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" start asking, "What if this goes right?" Your brain will find evidence for whatever question you ask it. When you focus on potential problems, you'll see obstacles everywhere. When you focus on potential opportunities, you'll start noticing possibilities you couldn't see before. The second step is to get specific about your fears. Often, we're not actually afraid of change itself. We're afraid of specific outcomes that change might bring. Are you afraid of failure? Of judgment? Of losing control? Of not being good enough? When you name your specific fears, they lose some of their power over you. You can address a specific fear much more effectively than you can address a vague sense of dread. Once you've identified your specific fears, practice the worst-case scenario exercise. Ask yourself, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen if this change doesn't go as planned? Then ask, if that worst-case scenario actually happened, how would I handle it? What resources do I have? Who could I turn to for help? You'll often discover that even your worst-case scenario is survivable, and that you're more resourceful than you initially thought. The third step is to start small. You don't have to leap into massive change all at once. Freedom comes from building your change muscle gradually. Look for small ways to practice embracing change in your daily life. Take a different route to work. Try a new restaurant. Rearrange your furniture. These small acts of choosing change help you build confidence in your ability to navigate the unknown. It's also crucial to understand that you don't have to feel ready to take action. Readiness is often a luxury we don't have when life presents us with change. Instead of waiting to feel ready, focus on feeling willing. Willingness is a choice you can make even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, even when you don't have all the answers. Create what I call a change support system. Surround yourself with people who encourage growth rather than those who reinforce your fears. Share your concerns with trusted friends or family members who can offer perspective and encouragement. Sometimes just speaking your fears out loud to someone who cares about you can dramatically reduce their power. Practice self-compassion throughout the process. Change is hard, and it's normal to feel scared, confused, or overwhelmed. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend going through a difficult transition. Acknowledge your courage for even considering change and celebrate small steps forward. Remember that freedom isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to act in alignment with your values and goals, even when fear is present. Some of the most free people in the world still feel afraid sometimes. They've just learned not to let fear make their decisions for them. Consider keeping a change journal where you document your journey. Write about your fears, your hopes, your small victories, and your lessons learned. This practice helps you process your emotions and also creates a record of your growth that you can look back on for encouragement. It's important to recognize that not all change is within your control, but your response to change always is. Sometimes life changes things for us, through job loss, relationship endings, health challenges, or other unexpected events. While you can't control these external changes, you can control how you interpret them and what actions you take in response. Finally, remember that on the other side of your fear lies the life you've been dreaming of. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful, who has ever grown beyond their current circumstances, who has ever discovered what they're truly capable of, has had to walk through fear to get there. Your fear isn't a stop sign. It's a sign that you're heading in the direction of growth. The freedom you're seeking isn't found in a life without change or challenge. It's found in developing the confidence to navigate whatever changes come your way, knowing that you have the inner resources to not just survive, but thrive through life's inevitable transitions. Your fear of change is actually evidence of your potential for growth. It means you're considering possibilities beyond your current reality. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be proud of. You're brave enough to want more, to dream bigger, to consider that your life could be different than it is today. The steps from fear to freedom aren't always easy, but they're always worth it. Each time you choose growth over safety, possibility over certainty, you're not just changing your circumstances, you're changing who you are. And that transformation, that expansion of your sense of what's possible, is the greatest freedom of all. That does it for today's episode of 7 Good Minutes. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, let's be civil to one another out there. Thanks for listening.